Hello, welcome everyone. We are doing the Uber case study, and my group is with Devon, Hope, Flavia, and Robens. Next slide. So, for an overview, Uber was first formed in 2009 with the members being Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp. They invented an app that could easily connect riders for driver for hire in an area so that they could more easily commute. This first became known as Uber Cab Incorporated and was later named Uber Technologies Inc. in 2010. With branding, Uber is unique in that they combine their brand name with their brand mark, as they decided to take the U from their name and use that as their main symbol. Though they did try a different symbol in 2016 of a drawn shape, they later decided that it was very ineffective and went back to using the Uber logo in 2018. With their mission statement, they believe in reimagine the way the world moves for the better, and their key values do follow similar business statements of innovation and ethical standards, but using their own spin. So they use go get it, trip obsessed, build with heart, stand for safety, see the forest and the trees, one Uber, great minds don't think alike, and do the right thing. We now go on to Rubens.
Product is defined as something that can be acquired via exchange to satisfy a need or want. Product can be goods, services, ideas, places, or even people. Uber provides on-demand wide services that help customers get from one place to another. Uber services are divided into three main categories. Their main option, smaller rides, and bigger rides. In the subsequent slide, I will explain how Uber sets its prices. Uber uses a dynamic pricing system where the price of a ride depends on many different factors, such as times and distance of a trip, traffic condition, the numbers of people that need a ride compared to available drivers. Uber implements many different strategies to ensure their pricing are measurable, realistic, and attainable. For example, Uber charges a higher price than normal when demand is high. According to an article from the New York Times, in 2021, just a year after the pandemic, the cost of a ride was 40% more than normal. Uber focuses on increasing the numbers of rides available to increase overall revenue. Uber uses competitive matching to compete with their competitors. Uber lowered their prices when launching into new location. Finally, during specific times such as rush hour, bad weather, big events, Uber increases pricing to increase earning. A 2018 New York Daily article stated that on New Year's Eve, from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., Uber riders experience price increases up to 3 times the usual price. Up next, I will cover Uber's target market. According to Uber financial statement, the company organized its customer into three main groups: mobility, delivery, and freight. In the mobility group, Uber makes it very convenient for people to go from point A to B using cars, bikes, scooters, and taxis. Through the Uber Eats application, customer can order their deliveries and have them delivered right to their front door. In the freight group, Uber serves small businesses in North America and Europe by helping them find carriers and services to help them ship their product. In the next section, I will highlight how Uber targets each of these customer segments. In the mobility segment, Uber uses a mass market approach. The organization connects consumer with drivers. Uber targets just about anyone who does not have a car, such as commuters and travelers. Uber also uses a multi-segment approach to attract different groups of customers. Customer can choose different options based on their budget and preferences. For example, Uber provides bigger rides option like the Uber XL and the Uber Comfort for people that prefers a different experience than their main option and provide many other options. Uber also uses geographic expansion and diversification to grow its business. Over the years, Uber, which started as a normal car riding service, has expanded into food deliveries and freight transportation to reach ever more customers in different segments. Devin will present Uber distribution, supply chain, and cost and promotion strategy.
Yes, so it is very important that that consumers that clients of Uber are able to track their rides from the moment they select purchase your ride to the moment the driver gets to them. They can verify the driver, and then they have a route with an ETA of where they're going or where their product is going if they're sending a product. Um, Uber is data driven and service driven. They are not, they do not provide drivers, they merely connect passengers to drivers. These drivers are not employees of Uber, but Uber does utilize them to connect them to areas where there is a high demand, and that is how they generate most profits. Wherever there is higher demand, they can get more drivers to work there, and then they can have more gross bookings over time. We can move to the next slide. Um, for Uber's promotional strategies, they use a wide-scale marketing outreach. They are very data-driven. They also use a lot of international partnerships to try to figure out the best ways to market in different countries internationally. And this is really how they have been able to excel in most cases. In other cases, when you have, such as Germany, where there is the Passenger Transportation Act, which comes into issues with licenses, and the drivers need to have special licenses in order to drive. So Uber technically can't operate there. Through innovative ideas and strategies, Uber really promotes a bottom-up technique where they try to take ideas from customers, from lower management, and encourage upper management to really listen and to really run with these ideas. So they were able to create Uber Pop, which is essentially the same thing as Uber, but it connects passengers to licensed drivers, which is still Uber in Germany is not as widely used as you're going to see in other countries that do not have laws such as the Passenger Transportation Act. And we can continue.
The case represents multiple challenges that Uber faces, which can be categorized as follows. Internal environment problems. Uber faces a complex set of internal challenges. Driver dissatisfaction is the key concern, stemming from issues like low pay and now defunct guaranteed hourly pay model, the pressure of a 90% acceptance rate requirement, and their classification as independent contractors rather than employees. Furthermore, Uber grapples with trust issues. Building trust between strangers during rides is crucial, and the company must ensure safe ride experience for both passengers and drivers. While rideshare ratings are in place, they don't fully address the underlying concern about safety and security. Uber drivers protest over payment and transparency issues. Uber drivers in Newcastle held a strike to protest inadequate wages and a lack of clarity in fees. Uber, which is operated since 2009, has faced long term issues with driver dissatisfaction. After a UK Supreme Court decision in 2021, Uber modified their payment structure, concealing the complete fare for drivers, now who only view their shares. Drivers claim they are inadequately compensated, putting in extensive hours for minimal earnings, whereas clients are charged considerably higher amounts. Drivers assist that this absence of transparency keeps them from understanding whether they are receiving fair compensation. The Newcastle City Council, while informed about the matter, does not have a direct authority, but it's observing and engaging its talks with Uber. Can we go to the next slide, please? Customer environment problem. Uber has faced significant challenges regarding safety and service. Numerous allegations of assault by drivers, coupled with fatal accidents and concerns about inadequate background checks, have severely damaged the company's reputation and eroded customer trust. These safety concerns are further compounded by service complaints, including long wait times, inexperienced drivers, and inconsistent pricing, all of which contributes to widespread customer dissatisfaction and impact on Uber's overall reliability. Uber safety is a complex issue. While 99.9% of rides are incident free, serious incidents do occur. Uber's 2019 and 2020 report detailed 3,824 sexual assaults, misconducts incidents, In 2020 alone, there were 141 rapes and 998 sexual assault reported. Though 1 in 90 million Uber trips result in passengers' fatality, Uber's crash rate, 0.62% percent of 100 million miles, is lower than US average. 23% of women reported uncomfortable driver behavior to Uber and 15% to Lyft. Driver also face risk with one fatality per 140 million trips and rides. Accused in 43% of sexual assault claims, both riders and drivers should take safety precautions. Uber faces numerous complaints from both riders and drivers, often often related to service, billing, and safety. Service issues including unprofessional drivers, incorrect drop-offs, booking problems, and unwarranted cancellation fees. So when I have an experience with Uber that back in India where the rules and regulations are not that concealed. So when I was taking an cab, Uber cab, the image showed of the driver on the application and the person who was driving was totally different. So that also is a big concern for Uber and for the customers, that we cannot trust uh, because of the Uber's policy, like the enrollment, how the drivers enroll on the application. So it is they don't do a background check. So that is one of the big concern. Can we go to the next slide, please? So external environment problems, the legal and regulatory challenges, global expansion challenges. The possible risk of Uber's worldwide expansions consist of regulatory issues, cultural variances, competition, and operational expenses. Regulatory obstacles may occur since various countries possess distinct laws and regulations concerning ride hailing services. Cultural variations can influence users' adoption since the service might not only embrace or well liked in certain areas. Competition poses another risk since numerous local ride hailing services exist in various countries, like we have taxi services in most of the countries. Finally, operational expenses may rise with global growth because the requirements for additional resources to oversee operations across various areas. So, for global expansion, many countries such as Spain and Taiwan have banned Uber due to its business model relying on unlicensed drivers. But Uber has been working on this, as my colleague Devon mentioned. In Germany, they are bringing up licensed drivers. Um, can we go to the next slide? Hope is gonna explain about the Uber's marketing style.
So, as previously mentioned, our marketing style is product specialization. So this essentially means that we tend to focus on one particular brand and just try to build on that. And since we do primarily focus on transportation, we have since to try to increase market share, try to reach towards different ways we can specialize this transportation to better suit customers' needs. So some ways we have done this is including alongside the traditional Uber, we've done variations to accommodate the different group sizes, such as Uber X, Uber Comfort, or Uber XL to get different groups of cars and models to be able to reach different sizes. We also have begun branching into transporting other things besides people, as previously mentioned, such as Uber Eats and Uber Freights. Next slide, please. So then we go into the 5 potential challenges of being a service product. So first, we do have intangibility. That is since we are a transportation service, the product is considered to be the ride between the starting and end points. And so you can't exactly hold that, like say something that you might find at a grocery store. Uber does, this also can lead to some customers having concerns about quality. So ways that Uber does try to accommodate this is with creating that survey system so that guests are able to read about certain drivers and to hopefully feel a bit more secure. Next would be simultaneous production and consumption. So customers, since it is that transportation time, you can't really see it or like plan ahead with it, you will be consuming your product at the same time. You'll have to be riding the same ride. So customers won't know with these concerns that customers won't know beforehand their ride experience and are only able to experience in real time, as well as quality may fluctuate as outcomes are heavily reliant on the driver and customer interactions. So to try to balance this, we do try to have background checks and that survey. We have a 5 survey system so that they can both keep each other accountable. Third is perishability. So with it being a transportation service, you cannot really, it's not like an item that has like a set perishability time, and especially since it is due to time, you can't really stock it. So if a customer feels like their time is wasted, you can't really pay them back. Or if you do have a supply and demand issue, as if you have a large amount of drivers but not enough customers, that would be a main issue, or having a huge flux of customers and not having enough drivers to meet that demand. Fourth is heterogeneity. So with it being so reliant on the different system of drivers and riders, it is very hard to maintain a uniform experience, as every driver and customer interaction is different. A potential way they have looked into working would be to move drivers from being a third-party contractor to an employee standard so that they can all have a uniform policy of how they should act, but they have not moved forward with that yet. Finally, we do have client-based relationships. So a challenge coming from that is that it is challenging to keep a lasting relationship with the company and service, as the product essentially ends at the end of the drive. So to try to work for that customer satisfaction and try to build on these relationships, as they mentioned, we started adding emergency contact buttons in case something goes wrong for both the driver and the rider, better background checks, and as we mentioned before, that survey system. Next slide, please.
Well, we'll now move on to our case study section. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the apps and firms that offer ride sharing services? Ride sharing services have many positive and negative aspects. These services improve quality of life by making transportation faster, safer, and more accessible. The Uber GPS tracking system helps build trust among customers. On the other hand, ride sharing services create economic uncertainty for the workers, lacks of benefit. Driver faces fluctuating demand, economic instability, and a lack of traditional job security and benefit.
Describe the threats that Uber has overcome to be successful. Despite facing several challenges, the company has maintained its position as a leader in the ride sharing sector. Uber's journey has been marked by rapid growth and significant milestones. In 2010, the company launched its ride hailing app in San Francisco, revolutionizing the transportation sector. By 2014, Uber had expanded to over 100 cities globally, demonstrating the viability of its business model. However, in 2017, CEO Travis Kalanick resigned amidst numerous scandals, leading to internal investigations and a shift in corporate culture. Despite these challenges, Uber's highly anticipated IPO in 2019 provided substantial funding for Uber's future growth. Kareem is a popular ride-hailing and delivery service in the Middle East, North Africa, and Pakistan, the MENAP region. They offer a variety of services, including ride hailing, food delivery, grocery delivery, other services. They also offer things like package delivery, bill payments, and even home services in some areas. Kareem is a big deal in the MENAP region, and it's known as a super app because it offers so many different services in one place. Uber bought Kareem, a major competitor in the Middle East, for 3.1 billion in 2020. This deal gave Uber a strong foothold in the Middle East ride-hailing market. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yes, so Uber's biggest weaknesses have to do with a balance between maintaining legal requirements and ethical concerns, and also maintaining a competitive edge in the process. And this we've spoke about a few times during this presentation. For example, the making sure that they're paying their drivers a fair amount so that they are able to make a living and that it's fair for them if if they are making that a full-time job for themselves, because they're not employees, they cannot form unions. So there's a lot of debate up in the air about that. There's a lot of debate about the requirements for like licensing. Should drivers have to have certain types of licensing? Is it safe for the passengers to be using these because they're really just drivers, anybody with a license? So there's a lot of ethical and legal concerns that they have to overcome. And it goes right into our next slide. If we can move on to our updates. If you have seen one of your recent Uber receipts, you might have noticed this little block text. And for example, this one on the right side of the screen says, in October 2024, Florida, roughly 21% of customer fares went towards covering government-mandated commercial insurance for road share transportation network company trips. Take actions to bring costs down. And they're trying to push for lawmakers to decrease the amount of insurance that they have to provide per ride. And this is because it's making their costs go up, which makes it hard for them to maintain that competitive edge. And Uber, to their defense, is saying we work for the people. We want to make sure that we're providing the cheapest prices for our people. And they have a very nice video that really convinces you that way. But there is two sides to every coin. And when you see what they're comparing themselves to, taxi drivers, limo drivers, all like companies that are required to have special licenses or certifications, it does bring into that ethical and legal concern. So they're going to be battling this with lawmakers in the upcoming future, as this is a current battle that they're facing today. And we can move on. And this was our presentation. Thank you so much. Our next slide is our references.